For a lot of people, the first book in a series can really make or break their enthusiasm and willingness to continue the series. I think we all at one point have read the first book of a series and went, that sucked, and didn't move on. Guilty. And sometimes we get really lucky in that the first book of a series is an absolute gem. So here are 7 of my favorite first books. A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. It's a classic. It helped shape an entire genre, if not most of the fantasy of the last 30 years. It's iconic. It turned into one of the best TV shows of all time before, the last 2 seasons. If you love fantasy and you have not read A Game of Thrones, you are seriously missing out. Multiple POVs, tremendously brutal, brilliant court politics. A Game of Thrones has everything. Red Rising... Dragons of Autumn Twilight by Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman. This is your favorite author's favorite series. Dragonlance is some of the OG best fantasy based on the D&D campaign run by the authors back in the 80s. It's simple, but it's classic for a reason. Dragonlance is just adventure storytelling at its finest. Sometimes it reads a little dated. It clearly doesn't have some of the panache of the fantasy of the last 20 years or so, but I think it's important that everyone go back to their roots once in a while and read a classic. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb had no right to go as hard with this as she did. I'm just kidding. She had every right. Pop off, queen. The story of young Fitz chivalry as he transcends being a stable boy and pet master into being an assassin. A tale as old as time. This book is famously very slow, but if Robin Hobb doesn't have you eating out of her hand by the end of this, then I don't know what you're doing here. The Fellowship of the Ring. This one's very simple. If you disagree, you're wrong. Stormfront by Jim Butcher. It is no secret that I love Jim Butcher and I love the Dresden Files. Wizards, murder mystery, Chicago, the early 2000s. It's like if Law and Order or CSI had a wizard council. This is so fun and cool. Harry Dresden has got to be one of the sickest characters in urban fantasy. These books are fast, they're funny, they're witty, and Harry is an incredibly lovable character. The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Is this the best book in the Bloodsworn trilogy? No. Does it smoke 90% of other fantasy coming out right now? Yes. Vikings, brutal, Norse mythology, crazy amount of lovable characters, adventure, family, redemption. John Gwynne gives you everything. Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. The Expanse is my favorite sci-fi series, and Leviathan Wakes is the explosive introduction to that series. Murder mystery in space that's presented as a noir thriller, interplanetary, galactic, political, and military intrigue, a lovable band of spacer misfits aboard their ship. If you're interested in a gateway to sci-fi, I cannot recommend The Expanse and Leviathan Wakes enough, especially if you're someone who is more interested in the hard science side of sci-fi and not the science is magic sci-fi. There are so many other worthy entries to this list. I only included books that I have read. I'm sure I have some terrific book ones on my shelves, but if I haven't read it, I didn't want to talk about it. And the Red Rising thing is a joke, so don't be a baby. What is your favorite book one? Let me know. And always, please like, share, and comment. Bye.